Hi everyone, and welcome to the Art of Online Marketing live show. Today I'm going to be talking about finding your potential customers online. So my name is Denise Allison and I am the owner of Strategro, and I work with business owners to empower them to build meaningful relationships with their potential customers and their audience through social media, and best of all, I show them how to have fun while doing it. So a big question that business owners have is where they should be spending their limited time and resources when it comes to social media. Because we all know by now that we should be spending time on social media to attract more leads, attract more customers, and raise awareness of our business. But what platforms are the best? You need to be on all of them? Where should you focus? And what social media activities will bring you back the biggest return? And these are the types of questions that I want to dive into today. So again, today's topic is, where do your customers, your potential customers, hang out online? So before we get started, I want to remind you about the Social Media Business Awards that are going on now. The nominations are closed and they will be announced very soon, so keep an eye out for that, and you'll have the opportunity to weigh in on those. So keep your eye out for that. Okay, so if you're a business owner, you have no doubt heard all kinds of conflicting information about social media. So you hear that you should be spending your time on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is best for professionals. Or others say that you gotta be on Twitter because that's where communities are built. And some people say you absolutely need to be on Facebook if you want to attract people to your business. And now everyone's saying that you need to be on Instagram and Snapchat. What the heck is Snapchat and how to use it for your business? Well, holy crap, you don't have time to be spending time putting content out on absolutely all of these platforms. You have your own work to do aside from social media, so it's not really effective to be on all of them because you're not going to get any of your other work done. So for starters, you do not need to be in all of these places. As a matter of fact, unless you have a social media team or a communications team, you really shouldn't be trying to be on all of these platforms because your message will be watered down, too thin, and you won't really be putting an effective effort on any of the platforms. You'll just be touching all of them and not really being a pro in all of them. So I recommend choosing one platform as your main place, and then maybe a secondary one if you have the bandwidth to do that. So it's way better to do one or two of these platforms really well than to do 3 or 4 like so-so or poorly. Like, you're actually really better off not having a presence on a platform than having a bad one where people come and they see that it's neglected and you haven't posted anything in months at a time, or you're just posting junk all the time. So it really does you a disservice if you have that type of presence. So choose 1 or 2 platforms where you can really dedicate the time to do a great job on them, and it'll do you a whole lot more good than trying to be on all platforms. Okay, so before we go any further, I just want to say, if you're already using a platform and you're using it consistently and it's working for you, then don't listen to what I have to say. If it's already working for you, just keep doing that. So this is really for the people who just haven't found that sweet spot yet of a platform that they're dedicating the time to, and that it's bringing in consistent leads and attracting customers to their business and raising awareness of their business. So if you found that and it's effective, keep doing it. And if you haven't, then keep listening. Okay, so this is meant for you if you haven't found that yet. So if you're trying to figure out where your potential customers hang out online, obviously you need to know who your customers are. Who are your ideal customers? Who are your dream customers? Who are the people that you absolutely want to be spending your time working with? You need to know this before we go any further, because otherwise, we're just guessing because you don't know who you're trying to attract. So you need to know who you're trying to attract, and you need to define your ideal customer. So this is a specific set of characteristics that define that type of customer. So what are their likes? What are their dislikes? What are their hobbies? What do they do for work? What do they do in their spare time? What are their pain points? And so on and so on. The more you know about your ideal customer, the better off you are, because you can get a really great idea of what they're all about and what they're spending their time doing. So you're better off if you can understand their actions and why they do certain things. So this is where we need to start. So the place that I always recommend business owners to spend their time is on Facebook. So Facebook is still the biggest social media out there. They have 2 billion monthly active users. And I know there's people out there who are always trying to say that Facebook is on the decline and that it's not number one anymore, but it is. I don't have a chart here, but it's still the number one used social media. And after that, it's Facebook Messenger, and after that it's a whole bunch of other platforms that Facebook owns. So you absolutely want to be on Facebook. It's a great place for, I know people say it's a place for socializing, but that's where you want to be. You want to build relationships with your customers and get to know them. So Facebook is not declining. It's still staying consistent as the number one social media platform. So like I said, over 2 billion monthly active users, that's quite a bit of people. Okay, so another thing is, even though Facebook is meant to be social, it doesn't mean that it's not a good place to be. So remember that your goal is to connect with your ideal customers and your potential customers. Hi, Tulo. But your goal is to build a deeper relationship with them, and they're spending all their time there, and people are more open on Facebook, and they're sharing more about themselves, and they're more open to making friends and doing other types of socializing and networking that doesn't really happen on professional social networking sites, where everyone has more of a professional filter that's holding back what they're saying, and they're really holding back on what they put out there about themselves. So this means you can get to know your potential customers better, get to know their pain points, get to know what it is they want, and just get to know them on a deeper level and move them up in your lead phase of a cold lead to a warm lead, which is absolutely what you want, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So if people know you, the better off you are, and Facebook is a great place to do this. So think of your habits and think of your friends' habits. Chances are you're spending time on Facebook every single day, and if you're not, all of your friends are. So chances are you're there multiple times a day, just scrolling through the news feed, seeing what's up, seeing what people are doing there. And people just don't really do that on LinkedIn and these other professional social networking sites. So your message is more likely to be seen here than on those other sites. So that's what makes Facebook a lot more powerful than the professional social networking sites. So Facebook also has a bunch of great tools, and you can post text and images and videos and all that kind of thing. You can also post links. You can create groups and join groups and invite people to your groups. And you can also create events and invite people to those events, and so on and so on. So there's all these tools that make it all encompassing and a lot more powerful than any other social media site out there right now. So the second platform that I recommend to people is Instagram. So anyone who asks what they should be using in addition to Facebook, I always say that they should be on Instagram. Instagram is on the up. People are joining it at a faster rate than any other site, and it's growing daily. So it has about 800 million monthly active users, which is not 2 billion, but it's still quite a bit, right? So it's a site that allows you to share images and videos along with a caption and hashtags that go along with that. And then there's also stories, which are a newer feature, and it's a little bubble that shows up for 24 hours on the top of your news feed. So Facebook now owns Instagram. They've owned it for a few years now, but the platform is quite different for a few reasons. So you have followers instead of friends, so you don't need to necessarily accept a friend request. You can just follow people, and you don't need to set up an independent business page. So this makes Instagram really powerful. On Facebook, you have your personal account and then you set up a business page, but on Instagram, your business page works the same way as any other profile. So there's power in that. You can go comment on people's content and you can connect with them in that kind of way, which isn't really as simple on Facebook. And you can't share links on Instagram, which kind of makes it crappier because you can't really send people directly to your blog, but you can share a link in your bio. But the goal on Instagram is more to build relationships and connect with other people instead of just pushing your product. So it can be really powerful in that way as well. So the advantage that another advantage I'd say, that Instagram has over Facebook is that the algorithm is not as stringent. So if I post something on Instagram, the people who follow me on Instagram are more likely to see my posts than they would be on Facebook. Part of this is just because there's a lot less content happening on Instagram. So you're more likely to see what the people that you're following post there. So this leads to much higher engagement levels on Instagram than on Facebook. One thing to keep in mind is that Instagram is quite a bit of a younger crowd than Facebook and some of these other social media platforms. So it's people my age and younger. So you'll see a lot of high school students, university students, and a younger crowd on Instagram than you will on Facebook and these other social networking sites. Okay, so next up is LinkedIn. So as we probably know, LinkedIn is a professional social networking site. But yeah, I mean, it sounds great, but this is how most people use LinkedIn. They join LinkedIn, they set up their profile, they put their picture and their resume and all that kind of stuff, and then they connect with all the people they know, and then they check it once a week. So, I mean, it sounds great in theory, but people just collect names like a Rolodex, and they never really take advantage of all the power that's out there. So they just pop in once a week, maybe, and they never post anything or share anything or pay any attention to the content that's posted in their newsfeed or any of the articles that are posted by the people that they're connected with. So the level of engagement on LinkedIn is super low, which you're looking for engagement. That's how you build relationships. And so if there's no engagement, I mean, what's the point? So LinkedIn engagement levels are so low. So that's a huge disadvantage that LinkedIn has. So I hardly ever recommend LinkedIn as a main platform for business owners. So it's for these reasons. So on paper, LinkedIn looks great, but in reality, it doesn't really live up to that. So I really don't recommend it as your main platform. It's a great place to be and to connect with people, but it's not a great place to build your content platform on. So LinkedIn is best used as a one-on-one method. So to send people messages, get to know them better, and learn a bit about them and tell them a little bit about yourself, and then to move that conversation further by phone or by Skype or somewhere else. So it's a good touch point and a starting point, but it's not a great place, like I said, to build your content platform or to build your awareness strategy. It's better for those one-on-one conversations and to make you aware of what people are out there and what people you might want to get to know. So it's not great for the social aspect of it, and since we're talking about social media, it kind of doesn't, it takes that whole social part away. So again, what's the point? Okay, and the last social media I want to talk about is Twitter. So I've alluded to this before, but I'm not sure if I've ever fully explained here on the live show, but I do not like Twitter. And there's something like 6,000 tweets that go out every single second. So that means you post a tweet and then 2 seconds later, there's a million other tweets that show up and yours is bumped all the way down. So, I mean, that's probably not the right math, but you know what I'm saying. So you post something and then it's gone and like 2 people see it, and you need to be tweeting all day, every day to get people to actually see what you're putting out there. So if we're talking about effective social media strategies, it's not one of them because people don't see your posts. It's really noisy. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and it's really hard to build those connections. Again, I know some people who love Twitter and it's working for them. So if it's working for you, good job, keep doing it, but I never recommend it. Another thing is Twitter is on the decline. People are jumping off of Twitter. New people aren't joining Twitter. So if you're starting on a new platform, I would always recommend to do Facebook or Instagram over Twitter, because it's just not going to grow the same way something like Instagram would, right? So really, if you're not on Twitter, I don't recommend joining it. That's really all I have to say. And then another one I mentioned is Snapchat, but really I don't think that's that effective for business owners, just because it's too random and it's really hard to build a following. It's harder than other profiles, and that's simply because they don't list the users. It's not as easy to connect with friends of friends, and there's not really a newsfeed per se. So I think all the great functionality that's built into Snapchat is now a part of Instagram. So if you want to go with the filters and the direct messages and that kind of thing, you can do that through Instagram as well. Okay, so those are your top 4, well, 5, I suppose. Those are your top 4 platforms, and those are the ones that you're going to probably hear people say, oh, you need to be on this platform, or that you might already be on, or that are going around and you know people using these platforms effectively. So again, people always ask me where they should spend your time, and of course, the answer is what works for you, number 1, but the deeper answer is where your audience is and where your potential customers are. So that's something you want to keep in mind. So you want to be where your people are. So if you're targeting a younger crowd, you want to be on Instagram. If you're targeting an older crowd, well, if you're targeting anybody, you probably want to be on Facebook. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. If you're targeting professionals, you do want a LinkedIn profile. But again, that's not where you want to be spending all your time. So, like I said, I always recommend using Facebook as a main platform. I don't know why I said this so many times in here. I suppose it's so that it will actually sink into your brain. So I always recommend Facebook as a main platform. And then if I recommend a secondary one, most of the time it's Instagram. Sometimes it might be LinkedIn, depending on the space you're in and the industry you're in and the people that you're targeting. Those all matter too. So I get way too many business owners who are putting way too much emphasis on LinkedIn and not near enough effort and focus into their Facebook profile. So you might think that LinkedIn is a better way to go than Facebook, because in theory that makes sense, because professionals are in LinkedIn and just everyone in their pajamas is on Facebook. LinkedIn is meant for professionals, and if you're targeting other professionals, it should be straightforward. But in reality, that's not really how it works. So the reasons I said earlier, the way that people use LinkedIn, it's not really how it works in reality. So when you put into play that it's not an effective platform. So yes, professionals are on LinkedIn, and a lot of people have an account, and they'll accept your request and they will read your message at some point, but they aren't really using it. So a few weeks ago, well, it's probably a few months ago now, but I did a video on the difference between being on social media and using social media. So a lot of these professionals are on LinkedIn, but they're not using it. So users spend an average of 12 minutes per month on LinkedIn. 12 minutes. I've been doing this video for longer than 12 minutes, and that's per month. And in comparison, on Facebook, users spend an average of 50 minutes per day. So I'm just gonna let that sink in a little bit. 50 minutes per day, where they're looking at all the posts that show up in their newsfeed, or 12 minutes per month, where all people are doing is responding to the messages they get and the requests they get, and not really paying attention to any of the content in the newsfeed. So that's a huge difference. I know I'm getting a comment here, holy tamale. Yes, absolutely. And it's something that people just don't really realize here. So again, you might be thinking, well, Denise, it's quality over quantity. And yes, I absolutely agree that quality over quantity is the way to go, but people just aren't spending enough time on LinkedIn for your content to be seen. So you absolutely should be considering using Facebook as one of your main platforms if you're not there already. So it's a great place to be for businesses. So Facebook has an entire probably department dedicated to businesses. You can do a business page. There's great advertising. It's a great place to just brand yourself, and the analytics give you so much information. You can see all the tiny details about the people who are following your page, and then you know those common characteristics of the people who are interested in your business and who are probable to do work with you. You can join groups related to your interests. So you could join a photographers group, or you could join a wedding group, people who offer services to weddings and that kind of thing, and get your word out that way as well. So again, there are groups on LinkedIn, but they kind of suck and people don't engage with them, and you get like an email once a week of all the all the comments that were asked in a LinkedIn group, and there's nobody answers them, and they're all really promotional and that kind of thing. So again, LinkedIn in theory should be able to do this, but it doesn't. The great thing about Facebook is people are themselves, and you can just be yourself, and you don't have that extra layer and those extra filters of, oh, I need to be a professional. You can just be you, and that's absolutely what you want, because people are attracted to you for who you are and how your working relationship is going to be. And LinkedIn's not a great place for that. It's not a great place for personal branding. And this I know because I've tried it, right? So it's hard to connect with people on a meaningful personal level on LinkedIn. That's my observations. So professionals are absolutely on Facebook too. I've seen them, and they might not be posting things all the time, but they are there and they are watching and they are observing what is happening. So if you are targeting professionals, don't think that they're not on Facebook. They are. So seriously though, everyone is on Facebook. So even if you think they aren't, they are. So unless you are targeting people under 25, they are absolutely on Facebook. They're not too high class, they're not too busy, they're not too old, and that kind of thing. So I know that my friends' grandmothers are all on Facebook, and they're paying attention to what's going on, and all other demographics are there as well. There might be some random exceptions, but in general, every type of person is on Facebook. So it's definitely a place you want to be. Okay, so I know I've kind of like chirped LinkedIn a bit, so keep your LinkedIn account. I'm not saying delete it. I think you want to have it there, you want to keep it updated, and you want to pay attention to what's going on, and the best way to use it is through those personal connections, introducing yourself through a message, and just keeping tabs on who's out there, what questions are being asked in groups and out there in general. But just use it to continue to network and meet people. But I rather you shifted your focus to Facebook and less focus on LinkedIn, because it really is a lot more effective in a bigger picture sense. All right, so that's where people are on social media. They're on Facebook, and then to a certain extent they are on Instagram and LinkedIn, and to a lesser extent they're on Twitter. So that's what I have to say for you today. But again, keep in mind who you are targeting. If you're targeting younger people, you should be incorporating Instagram into your strategy. If you're doing a lot of visual work, you absolutely want to be on Instagram. If you are targeting professionals a lot more and less young people, and you're some type of professional or thought leader, then you might want to choose LinkedIn over Instagram. So of course, this isn't like a blanket suggestion. It again depends, but I always would say Facebook is my number one recommendation for where you should be focusing your limited time and resources, because again, you're probably just you or a limited staff, and you can't be all places at once, because that's really not effective. Okay, so there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So keep your eye out in the next couple of days because I will be announcing the nominees for the Social Media Business Awards. And remember, the Cat's Pajamas category is decided by a public Facebook vote. So if you're in that category or you want to give your vote to somebody in that category, you absolutely want to be paying attention when those are released on Thursday, and all the other nominees will be announced tomorrow. Okay, so just a reminder, I go live every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. right here on Facebook, and I will see everyone again. Well, I will see you all again Thursday, but for the live show, I'll see you all again on next Tuesday morning. Okay, thanks. Bye.